I recently picked up a low-grade copy of Amazing Spider-Man 252 from my local flea market, and in today's video, we're going to clean and press this comic. So stay tuned to see what this turns out looking like after a little TLC. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to today's video. So like I mentioned, we're going to clean and press this Amazing Spider-Man 252 and see how pretty we can make this book. This is a little bit of a special comic here. Of course, this is Amazing Spider-Man issue number 252. The first appearance of the Spider-Man in the black suit, the symbiote costume. Also a classic homage cover to Spider-Man's first appearance in Amazing Fantasy 15. Really great book. But this particular issue is a little bit special. That is because it is a Mark Jewelers insert. These are really cool, and you don't find these all the time, especially on some of these bigger key comics. So that kind of makes this comic extra special. A Mark Jewelers insert was a jewelry advertisement that they would put in comic books, and it was geared towards people in the military. These comics were sent off to military bases, so the soldiers could read their favorite comic, and then also they would advertise to them about possibly picking up a nice little piece of jewelry to send back home to their significant other. So these are really cool, and the fact that this comic book could possibly have been on a military base, and maybe that's why it is in such rough condition, I just think this comic could definitely tell some stories, and I think it's pretty special. So I want to make this as well presenting of a copy that we can with a little bit of cleaning and, of course, a nice press. Starting off, I want to show you some of my little tools of the trade when it comes to cleaning comics. First thing here is a eraser. This one is really cool. You can get these from like the dollar store. It's a retractable eraser, so you can, push it in and out like that. It's a white eraser, which I prefer over like the pink erasers. I do like the white ones. But these erasers are great for cleaning up any kind of white on a comic book cover. Inside the barcode here. On this particular book, of course, inside the trade dress of Amazing Spider-Man, in the little box here by the price. So we can kind of clean up any of the whites. You do not want to use these on color, like this orange or yellow or especially black, because this will remove the color. Even if you're very gentle, it still has the chance of removing color from the comic. So we're only going to use this eraser tool on white areas of the covers. Also, another very inexpensive and easily to get little tool that I use are these cotton pads. They're like makeup removal pads. You can find these at any Walgreens or CVS, any kind of drugstore, dollar store, Walmart. They're great. And what you use these for is to gently clean the surface of your comic. This will remove a lot of dirt and grime and, maybe some residue that is on the book. It won't, work miracles on the book, especially this one has, some like water stains here. I mean, this book is in rough shape, but these cotton pads are great to remove the initial layer of dirt off your comic. So we'll be using those. Both of these very inexpensive, easily to find at any store, and they just work great for cleaning comics. So we're going to go ahead and clean this book first, front and back. I'm going to show you the condition of this book. As you see here, the back cover is pretty dirty. It's got a lot of wear, especially here on the spine. And you do notice this big spine roll where the comic is actually curling up on itself. The staples are facing upwards instead of to the side. This comic does have some tears and little rips and chips here, some color breaking creases, as I mentioned, the water stains. So this is a very low grade, pretty poor condition of this comic, but like I said, it's a special book. It's a key comic, but it's also a Mark Jewelers variant. And I think this book could definitely tell some cool stories. Definitely has a history to it, and it's a great key comic. So we're going to make this as well presenting as possible. So now let's go ahead and clean this book. Starting off, we're going to use the makeup removal pads, and we're just going to gently give it a nice little cleaning, a nice little rub here on the cover, and we're just going to try to remove any dirt. Sometimes if you're working with a expensive and way better conditioned comic than this one here, you probably want to wear gloves. You want to, use a lot of precaution. You don't want to, make any mistakes and make a tear or a rip, or damage the book in any way. So we're going to do our best to be very gentle and just kind of give it a nice little circular motion and go around the whole book and try to just kind of wipe up any dirt. And as you see, we're picking up a little bit of dirt here. The book isn't extremely dirty. It's more stained, probably due to moisture damage. And of course, there's a lot of wear and tear. Here we're going to try to focus here on this little area, but we're going to go ahead and just clean the book, the surface area of the book here, as best as we can before we press. And there's other things we can do here. There's a lot of other professional ways to fix and restore and make these comics a lot nicer. They do a thing called an aqueous bath where they actually remove the cover and they submerge it in distilled water, and they, kind of clean the cover and soak the cover to remove more stains than, just rubbing it with a cloth here. But we're getting a little bit of dirt here. This cotton pad is starting to get a little bit dirty. So I'm going to go ahead and just give this a nice cleaning, and then I'm going to show you the next step. So as you see, a lot of dirt, and we're going to make this thing look as best as we can. So after giving a nice wipe down with the cotton pads, we're going to go ahead and work the eraser tool a little bit, especially here in the trade dress, a little bit here in the price box, and a little bit here on the barcode, as well as the back cover. So I'm going to go ahead and just work a little bit here in the trade dress. So now I'm going to work on the back cover a little bit. This is actually not supposed to be white. This is like a gray color, but very gently, I'm just going to see if I can take some of this grime off. I'm very, very gently here on this back cover. It is a gray color, like I mentioned, but there's just a lot of staining and foxing and little moisture damage. I'm just going to hit it very gently just to see if it'll pull off any of that dirt. I don't want to go too abrasive or too long because it'll pull the color off. Might leave like a white speckles or little marks on here. I'm just going to go very gently for just a moment and see if I can kind of clean anything off there. Doesn't look like much is happening. A little bit of dirt came off, but it is pretty rough on this back cover. So we're just going to kind of leave this as is for now. And then we're going to move on to the next step of pressing. So we did our best to clean this comic. We used our cotton pads. We also used our eraser tool on the white of the cover. And now it's time to press. There's a couple steps in the pressing process, which we're going to take, and I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do. Let's head over to my pressing station, and I'll show you the setup. So here is my pressing station. Please forgive the mess. I have a bunch of stuff all over the place, but this is my heat press. It is 15 inches by 15 inches, has the clamshell design. The company is called Better Sub, and I got this from Amazon for about $250, and honestly, I think it works great. So it just opens up like this. The heat is distributed from the top of the machine, and down below is a rubber bottom. Of course, these are meant for t-shirt pressing, but they work great for comics. So what I did was take a stainless steel piece of metal. Stainless is good because it does not rust. And I put it down here on the bottom to give a solid surface area for when you're pressing comics. Also, I usually put a piece of parchment paper. I'll show you here. Just right down on top of the metal sheet, and then the comic goes right on top of here. This just prevents anything from sticking and, you know, having the metal go directly onto the comic. Now let's take a look at the comic book. I'm going to show you how we prepare it to be pressed. I'm going to show you one step that we're going to do before we can actually press the comic. So here we have the book, but what we want to do is fix this spine roll. So what we're going to do is actually open up the comic here to the centerfold, which is the Mark Jewelers insert, and you're going to lay it flat, cover facing up, and we're going to go ahead and press the comic first like this. This will flatten out the entire book here, and then we can go ahead and correct where the spine is folded and make a nice, better crease for the spine, fix that roll, and then we can kind of start fresh and then give a final press after that just to press the whole book together. So what I'm going to do is use my humidifier right here. It's just a little clothing humidifier. We're going to flick this on, give it a couple minutes to start steaming. We're going to apply some steam, some moisture to the book. Once you introduce moisture into the paper fibers, that allows it to flatten, and when that moisture dries up, the paper fibers retain the flatness and the rigidity. So it's really important to introduce moisture when you're pressing comic books. So let's let this thing heat up. I'll put some steam on here, and then we're going to go ahead and flatten and press this book here. Then we'll come back, we'll fix the spine to a appropriate fold, and then we'll repress the entire book. All right, so now that our steamer is going, we're going to go ahead and just introduce moisture, especially onto the seam, the fold. So we're going to just kind of give it some moisture here. That'll, like I said, open up the fibers and just make it flatten out a lot better after it gets a little bit of moisture introduced here. So I'm going to go ahead and do this for just a few seconds, and then we'll come back and get this book pressed. So now that we put a little bit of moisture into the book, I laid another piece of parchment paper on there. That's going to keep that protected. Then I will go ahead and take a magazine-sized backer board, and I'm going to lay the first one here over the spine, going onto the front cover a little bit, so that'll press directly on that spine to flatten it out. And I'll take a second backer board here, overlap it slightly, and cover the entire comic. Now we're going to turn the machine on and press the book. On my particular machine, there's a switch on the side, flicks it on. So now my machine is warmed up and it's time to press. I set my machine at 174 degrees Fahrenheit. That's just what I found this machine works best at. It could be different on different machines. We're going to press it for 600 seconds or 10 minutes in the hot press. And then after that, the timer will go off. We'll turn off the machine. It'll sit in the cold press overnight. So for basically about 24 hours. So let's go ahead, close the machine up. All you have to do is clamp it down like that and slam it shut. And then it's going to go ahead and count down the 10 minutes. And we'll go ahead and come back tomorrow, and we'll see what it looks like. It'll only be just a second for you guys. All right, so it's the next day. It's been about 24 hours, and let's see what happened here. We did lay the book flat, and we're going to press it completely flat down so we can do a spine correction. And as you see, I mean, the book's in rough shape. Look at all the wear on the spine. But it is completely flat, as you see here. So what we're going to do is take the book and put a new crease on the spine here, and hopefully it'll straighten the book out, and it'll look a lot better than it did before with that really bad spine roll. So we have the book here. It is completely flat, and now we're going to create a new crease for the spine. So I'm going to go ahead and close this up and kind of align the edges of the cover and the pages. And then I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit of a press here to create a new fold. So it's actually not too bad at all. It's pretty even, looks pretty good. So, you know, we're going to lay that down. I'm going to kind of give it a little bit of a press here. Just firm with my hand, nice and flat. And what I also want to do is take a backer board here. I'm going to stick that in the center fold where the staples are. And we're going to kind of make that nice and even. Kind of keep the pages nice and aligned. And I'm just going to go ahead and give it a little bit of some pressure, a little press down on here. And I think that's going to be pretty good like that. So now, once this is, we have the new spine, the new fold on the spine, we're going to go ahead and repress the book. And let me show you how I prep this book to be pressed. So the first thing we're going to do is put our piece of heavyweight art paper. I like to use like a 60 weight paper. That's going to go in between the back cover and the inside page. So that'll go there. And then we have our centerfold, but we're going to do something a little bit different with the centerfold because a Mark Jewelers insert right here on this strip and on this strip actually has an adhesive because these are meant to be like ripped out and sent out in the mail, like little mail order forms. So these are actually have a little bit of adhesive, a little stickiness on there. So what I want to do is take some parchment paper and stick that in between. So we're going to put that there, and then we're going to put our magazine-sized backer board in between here. So it's a little bit difficult just to do here in front of the camera, but I'm going to do my best. But we're going to put this parchment paper and prevent anything from sticking. And then we'll go ahead and this doesn't have any adhesive on this side, so I think we're good here. You always want to double check. So that'll be good. And then we want to go ahead and put our second piece of heavyweight art paper in between the front cover and the interior pages. So that is our little sandwich here. And then we're going to put another piece of parchment paper on top of the book. And then we're going to cover it with a big backer board. We'll do that when we put it on the press. So we have our book here all ready to go. It's on the press. We have our steamer ready to go. And we're going to go ahead and steam the book. We're going to introduce some moisture. And that's going to help everything flatten out nice and evenly and stay flat. So I'll go ahead and do this. And then I'll be right back and we will press the book. So we humidified the book. I put another piece of parchment paper. And then I go ahead and put a magazine-sized backer board on top. And we're going to go ahead and press this once again. We'll let it sit in the hot press for about 10 minutes and then in the cold press overnight. And we'll be back in 24 hours and we'll see the final results. All right, stay tuned. And just like that, it's been another 24 hours. The book is finally finished. I can't wait to see what kind of improvements we've made. So we ended up cleaning the book. We corrected a spine roll, and then we did a final press. So let's pull this off the machine here, and we'll go and take a closer look and see what this book looks like after this extensive process. All right, so here you have it, the final results of our clean and press on this Amazing Spider-Man 252. we fixed the spine roll, we did a full cleaning, and then we did a final press. And as you see, it's sitting nice and flat. There was a really harsh spine roll, and as you see, the book is just perfectly flat. The only thing is, because of that harsh spine roll, when we flattened out the book, it did indent the staples here, as you see. The book itself is still, or the cover, I should say, is still attached, but it's like hanging on by a thread. So that's the only thing. After pressing the book, it kind of pulled the staples a little bit away from the cover, but it's still attached and we're still in good shape. The cleaning, I feel like, did, a decent amount of job. The trade dress is nice and white. We cleaned the price box. We cleaned this logo Spider-Man. We cleaned the barcode. I did actually clean his eyes and the spider on his chest. I don't think I showed that in the footage. But all the white surfaces were cleaned with the eraser. We did a cleaning with the little cotton pads. And I think the book looks much better than it did before. I'm really happy, too, that the Mark Jewelers insert, we had no issues with that. There are still a little bit of wrinkling on the Mark Jewelers insert here. You could press it again to get it a little bit better, but I'm pretty much happy with it. Also, with the adhesive on the Mark Jewelers insert, we had no issues because we put some parchment paper lining that, so none of the pages stuck to that, which is great. I've had issues like that before, but I think the final results are not too bad at all. I'm very happy with the way it looks. I ended up getting this book at a flea market for $15 because it was such low grade. And, I was not expecting to work any miracles. I knew this wasn't going to be a high grade book when I was finished. But now I can put it in a Mylar bag with a thick backing board, and it's going to look much better presenting than it originally did. So here you have it, ASM 252 in its final resting place. I did put it in a Mylar bag with a 56-point backing board, which are extra thick. They just make the book present a lot nicer, and it keeps a little bit more rigid. So there you go. It's all finished. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think about the results? Do you think it was worth it trying to clean and press a book like this that is in such low grade? I think it was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm glad I was able to show you my entire process of cleaning, fixing a spine roll, and pressing a key comic book like this one here. So that's the video. Please smash that like button if you enjoyed what you saw. Subscribe to the channel. If you want to see more content just like this, ring that notification bell so you can see when I upload my next video. And as always, folks, I'll see you on the next one.